Hello, my name's Scott. I'm a professional magician, and this is a magic review.
It's a kind of magic.
In today's review, we're looking at Name Dropper by John Graham. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to Vanishing Ink for the review copy of Name Dropper. And also, I want to clarify that just because Vanishing Ink have provided this review copy, I am in no way obliged to say anything about this. Just with every one of my reviews, it's my honest thoughts. And with that in mind, my TLDR on Name Dropper by John Graham is that there's no doubt that this is clever. And there's also no doubt that a lot of work has gone into creating this trick, this routine, this product, everything from the cards that you receive to the routining and moves. But a lot of it falls short for me. And honestly, I can't really recommend this to anyone. It's a challenge to learn if you're looking for a new card trick that's going to test your abilities, but I'm not sure why anyone would perform this when there are so many better alternatives. And for me, there are a lot of glaring holes in this. And one really important thing that I think will basically stop 99% of people performing it. So that's my TLDR. If you're interested in Name Dropper by John Graham, or you were thinking about picking it up, continue to watch this review and I'll explain my reasonings for everything that I've just stated. What is it? It's two things simultaneously. So first of all, it's a card trick, and then within the card trick, you have two other effects. You are revealing a chosen card, but then also you are revealing or predicting the name of a person that the spectator is thinking of. It's not quite that clear cut, but those are the effects that you're going to perform in the Name Dropper routine. What do you get with it? You get 1 hour of instructions that, just with any Vanishing Ink instructions now, they're top quality. The instructions just always have good audio, they're well presented, they're well shot, and you get an hour of expert instructions from John Graham himself. And then you receive a deck of cards, which has so many little bits and little interesting adjustments that have been created specifically for this routine, with the majority of the deck being separated into red-backed cards that have letters on the back, 2 red-backed cards that have quotation marks, 3 blue-backed cards, and then 2 jokers. I believe that's everything. And lots of them have custom printing. They have lots of hidden features to make the trick easier for you to perform. And then in addition, you receive a really good quality bifolding card holder, or something that would be very similar to a packet trick holder. And it's really good. Those alone cost, I don't know, $4.99, $6.99, sometimes $8.99. To have those just to buy on their own. So I think that that also adds to the overall value that you're getting with Name Dropper. But I think I've covered pretty much everything that you receive when you purchase it. How easy is Name Dropper to perform? It's pretty difficult. I think it's out of the range of the majority of magicians, basically. There are a few things that they don't tell you in the ad copy, in the trailer, or not that they don't tell you, but that aren't apparent until you purchase it. One of those things is that to perform this, you basically need to create your own mnemonic stack. And what that means is that when you're looking at the faces of the cards, as part of the routining, which some of the routining is quite clever, but as you're looking through the deck of cards and the cards are face up, you need to know what letters are on the back of every single card. These cards are not really marked, you just need to commit to memory what letter is on the back of every individual card for about 40 cards. And I think that that's just a lot to ask when the trick isn't really strong enough. Why wouldn't you just learn a memorized deck and the hundreds or thousands of routines for a memorized deck? With this, you're kind of limited to a lot of learning, but then you can only perform this trick. And then there are some other things that are involved that are not too difficult, some minor sleight of hand. But I think that will be the major hurdle for most people. You have to basically create your own memorized deck. And for that reason, I think that this is quite a difficult effect to perform and out of reach for the majority of people. But outside of that, the rest of the routining is, I would say, intermediate. There's some misdirection that's involved. There's some minor card moves and card sleights that are involved, which will require a basic level or a basic understanding of card mechanics. Reset time is pretty good. If you do perform this, this is definitely repeatable. You can perform this from group to group. Also, in the package itself, because you have the option of 3 chosen cards that you're going to reveal, you can perform it up to 3 times with a different card revelation. So you have some flexibility there, and that's a really good point. You can perform it from group to group, and it will be a slightly different result. And if lots of guests are talking and mingling at an event, or if you just repeat it with a different person's thought of name, then the card that they choose will also be different. And this is why I say in the TLDR that clearly a lot of thought has gone into this to make such an effect and such a routine instantly repeatable and quite a workable trick if you do happen to get it to the point where you can perform it really well. And the angles are equally good. You don't really have any angle considerations to think about. You realistically need a table to perform this on because of dealing the cards at the end where it spells out someone's name. And then also a couple of the moves, realistically, you will need a surface for that. And because of that, there are no real angle restrictions to this whatsoever. Pocket space for this is also really good if you want to perform it and if you want to put the time and effort into learning this to a point where it's really entertaining and you can perform it really well, then the pocket space required is basically a deck of cards. Yes, it's a special deck of cards that you can't really use for any other trick. But if you just wanted to take one deck of cards out with you and just do one trick, then this is a great option. John does also recommend that you carry the packet wallet with you as well, and a few cards are held inside that. And this also helps you get into the instant reset scenario. So in addition to the pack of cards, your pocket space, you will need a packet wallet too, which overall doesn't take too much pocket space at all. My final thoughts on this. There are some really crazy things that are said during the tutorial. One of the things is that you're predicting the name of someone or the name that someone is thinking of, but you also, during the routine, you have to ask what the name is. So you're not really predicting it. And then throughout the routine, you're also sorting through the cards and you're placing cards on the top of the deck. And it kind of just looks like you're sorting through the cards to see which card is missing, which I know that some of the people that I perform for, I think that they would just be a bit confused by the whole process. And they would say, well, you're just looking through the cards to see which one isn't there. And then also, because of this process, I think that some people at the end may say something like, oh, well, you were arranging the cards, so you could have just sorted out the letters. Or I don't know. I feel like it's just not that strong of a routine. Clever, yes. Has lots of really interesting points that you could probably learn some really good principles from, and you could pick up some tips from that you could use in other effects, yes. But there's just so many holes to pick in this. And for 32-ish pounds, $35, something like that, I just don't think it's that great. John also says in the instructions that he would rather take this gimmicked deck out than a regular deck, which doesn't fill me with a great deal of confidence. Either he doesn't know very many good tricks with a regular deck of cards, or he's just biased and he's just trying to hype up this product. And that I didn't really like, because I know 100 card tricks that I think are way stronger than this. Not just stronger, but more entertaining. So I thought that was a really weird thing to say. And then the last 10 minutes, roughly, of the instructions is literally just John and Asi Wind just hyping the effect up. You've already purchased the effect. You've watched 50 minutes of the instructions, probably realized that you're never going to perform it because you're not going to create your own mnemonic stack. And then they spend the last 10 minutes telling you how this is the one effect they would take around with them. This is stronger than having a regular deck of cards on you. This is the one effect they would have on a deck. Why are they trying to sell this so hard when you've already purchased it and you're at the end of the instructions? I don't know, it seems so counterproductive to me. And it raises my suspicions of, why are you trying to sell me this so hard when I've already purchased it? And I don't know if John is overcompensating here, but I found it very confusing. There are a few other issues that I have with it overall as a product and an effect. And one of those things is the fact that I can't remember if I have already mentioned this, so forgive me if I have, but the name that someone thinks of, when you ask them to think of a name, you then have to ask them what that name is. So you've not really predicted it. They've told you the name, and then you've dealt out some cards in the end. And yes, the routining kind of makes sense as to why that would be amazing. But also, it doesn't work with all names. And during the instructions, Asi and John say, well, if you get someone with a really long name, if you say think of a name, oh, Elizabeth, create a nickname for that person. And I certainly know some of the people that I entertain and I work with, If someone says, I'm thinking of the name Elizabeth, and I say, oh, well, let's go with Liz, they'll say, well, but that's not her name. I said Elizabeth. So because of the limitation of the letters in the deck of cards, you are limited to a certain amount of names. And then also the letters are only going to spell English names or names that are in the Latin lexicon. Any other kinds of names or any names where the characters have accents or they're spelt in a completely different way, you're screwed. You're completely stuffed. So overall, I just can't recommend Name Dropper. And I think that a much better alternative to Name Dropper would be DMC's Alphas deck, which I'll leave a link for my review here. I hope this review helped you to either purchase this or not purchase this, because I want magicians to be happy customers and I want them to enjoy learning and performing. Hit the like button, leave a comment below if you have any questions, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.